So this is the second part of Alchemical Union. For me, it started on December 15th and went all the way into solstice, so the 21st. And so a little history about some of that is solstice, the 21st, is obviously Yule. It's winter solstice. It's the longest period of darkness in the year. But it also is Satyria honoring for that expression of Hecate. And it also is Isis's birthing time. Starts there, as then December 25th is known as Jesus's birthday, although I have heard Jesus was born on January 25th. But it is also Horus's birthday, December 25th. So huge alignments. And as you know, that this period of time was sandwiched between a full moon, where Mercury came out of retrograde, and then it was moving into a new moon in Capricorn. It was the second new moon of December. So it's a very, very powerful time. And I do believe illness. So I used to get sick quite a lot. I have asthma, but I've been able to manage it for 2 decades with energy and herbs and all of the divine channels, cleaning chemicals from my system and just listening to the divinity coming through me to come back to purity as much as possible, and still being able to be human. And I was able to manage sickness, and I hadn't, even during COVID, gotten as sick as I did during the solstice. But I was pushing through and birthing some new goals. So I was pushing pretty hard and working at full capacity prior to this. And I believe when sickness manifests to the physical body, that's the last layer it needs to come through. So it comes through the energy body first, then the mental body, the emotional body, and then to the physical. So I believe once it gets to that point, there has been a lot of energies or a lot of influx or a lot of downloads or karma clearing or healing of some sort going on in your vessel for it to actually manifest into sickness. And I do believe from experience and working with obviously myself and many clients that if I'm able to read the energies, the information in motion, and I'm able to bring it to Holy Spirit and my guides in divine witnessing, it actually won't manifest as cold. So the fact that it manifested as a cold, all in the lungs and the heart, so it was a complete heart chakra clearing to do with my twin flame. When I finally was slowed down by the sickness, it's also called rest, that I had not been heating properly, you get to do the divine witnessing of the story. So this is part 2 of Alchemical Union, as I shared part 1 a couple weeks ago, and I'll link this into the description. But it was to do with the divine feminine and divine masculine within me unifying. So the soul that I identify as my twin flame, him and I are not mirroring what is going on in the 5D. And that can be extremely confusing on the twin flame path. It can make us doubt. It can just be a very confusing thing. But thankfully, I have a wonderful relationship with my guides and angels, so they were able to explain it to me. And they actually showed me 9 layers that you go through, 9 initiations or ceremonies that you go through to bring your twin flame soul and your soul back into divine union. And the union of alchemical relationship, as I explained in the last one, is actually just bringing you into wholeness. It's for your benefit. It's for whichever twin is working from wounded shadow energies for a very long time, or they're stuck in their karma, or they're stuck in that darkness, or they're susceptible to that darkness. It actually will help pull them out of it, because the one who's leading spiritually, the divine feminine, she'll have cultivated enough power and energy to keep the darkness at bay, but he might not have. And typically it is the divine masculine that's going through that, and he stays in his shadow and wounded shadow longer, and then the divine feminine comes out of it. Now, when you unify in 5D alchemical union, there's still so many benefits that I'm unpacking as it happens for me. But I know that I shared in my last video is my human self was like, what do you mean? Like, we're getting married on this physical or in this 5D realm. Like, he's not choosing me. He's like living in his own thing and doing his own thing. And it was just so confusing for me for a moment. But I trust always what my guides and angels are taking me through. It has never steered me wrong. And so I conceded to being taught and I surrendered it all. So it started on December 15th. They showed me more layers into it as they teach me about what union is. And that union on the 5D does not mean the same things. Marriage on that realm doesn't mean the same things here always. And they aren't always going to mirror. Now, like I said, the first benefits that Divine Masculine is going to get is more protection. So the darkness can't keep tempting and to keep overtaking any good or progress or choices of the light that they make. Now, there may be some skaras still involved where they'll still be choosing darkness, and that may still play out and block union on the physical, and that's fine. It's not really the point of my video today, but it's something worth mentioning. Now, on December 15th, all the way through the 21st, I went through 9 ceremonies with my twin flame that I was shown after, and this makes sense of all the energies that were coming through that I wasn't aware of, that I wasn't sitting into balancing, and also because I was pushing so hard in the physical, my cells were not at full capacity to be able to handle it, so I was taken out so that I could actually rest. And my flu lasted almost, I think even as I film this, I'm in day 19 and I'm still stuffed up with a cough, but it turned into a complete vision quest. And I downloaded so many spiritual gifts, including the benefits of the alchemical union that we have ignited here, and this will still be continued to be unpacked for the next year to 3 years, I believe. So what was really interesting for me is that our souls to come together in such a bond and in such a powerful way, and then for me in the physical to get so fed up with the shadows and so intolerant of it. Like, I just will not accept toxic, unhealthy behavior. It doesn't mean I don't love, and it doesn't mean I wouldn't want to be with him if he could be healthy and show up, but it also means like I'm not going to waste my life waiting for him to heal his wounds. I'm going to hold space in the 5D and the 3D, but I'm going to do it detached and undistracted by his drama and his darkness. And so I thought that was really interesting variance between what was going on in the 5D. Now in the 5D on December 15th, we were at the Halls of Justice, and it's basically the Halls of Justice is a beautiful temple that holds all the archives of everything that's spiritually legal and divine law. And so I guess that's where the ceremonies start, is you go to the Halls of Justice, because you do a fate verification and you do the twin flame divine timing check-ins, and once that checks through, then you start the rest of the ceremonies. So that was the first layer. I believe in that it's also just checking like how many spiritual tears that you have gone through, how many initiations you got through, what have you reclaimed, are you ready for it, how much overwhelm is it going to cause to your physical vessel, like to me to get through with a lengthy flu that I was still able to heal with herbs, thank God. And I think that was really saying something about the strength of my body and the strength of everything that I have overcome and gone through on this twin flame journey, and all the initiations that I've worked through over the past, honestly, decades, because everything was about clearing for the path to this moment, the unification of my soul with his, because this is going to do is it's going to balance out our energy. It's going to balance out power sharing. He has skills and attributes that I need, and if he's not physically ready to unionize them with me now, we can share them in the 5D, because I also have spiritual needs that he needs right now, and if his wounded self is withholding us both from that, then the 5D union will allow it to flow through, and in the end it will aid us both in healing and full empowerment, and it brings us into wholeness. It brings us into emotional security and safety. It's a full root chakra healing, but all the chakras get healed and balanced because you've completely come in to alchemical union between your own inner masculine and divine feminine within both of us through this union, anchored strongly, strongly, strongly into God, especially if on the physical one is, you know how society is right now, how much they've misdefined God and creation and how loaded that word can be. So some people in the physical have completely been brainwashed into that matrix programming of not believing in anything, or really being resistant to it, or confused about it, or just not utilizing it properly because it's not defined within them properly. So the 5D union brings all of that into balance and harmony with the one true creator and the Most High. And so that, again, in and of itself is powerful. And I talked about that in the first video here with the figure eights. Okay, the figure eight matrices that are made, but those are just pathways for energy to flow through. So you think of the matrix, that's how I see energy, that's how I see programming, it's coding, but it's in light language. It's in ancient light codes and frequencies, and those pathways, those figure eight pathways, is the way that energy will move back and forth between in a shared fashion. And then also, when one twin is in a shadow phase, it can be siphoning from the other. It could be overleaning, whereas this won't allow that to happen anymore because power is shared evenly. There can't be extra siphoning. There can't be overleaning. It literally just, if one of the parties tries to do that, it drains yourself. It just drains you. There's no overleaning now or anything. And everything must be approached with purity and with love. It can't be misused either. So the shadow side can't get all this spiritual power that the one twin has cultivated and start using it for bad in their life. It's only accessible if you're using it for its divine purpose of unconditional love and light. So I thought that was really cool and interesting. So I've always worked with 3 universal gateways that I remembered from Atlantis and Lemuria. So that was in the womb or the perineum, just above the root chakra, and then the heart and the third eye. Those were the 3 gateways of the universe. Those were portal points. There obviously is more energy centers, but those were the 3 access points that link the divinity, the universal energies, to the physical realm. And I needed to remind that for some reason, but we'll come back to that. So the second layer of ceremony in Alchemical Union is a soul retrieval. Now, also know that your alchemical union might have happened exactly the same time as mine. There's a lot of ancient souls and ancient twin flame pairs that are going to be syncing and going through this. That's why I'm making this video. But also just know when you find this, that's probably when yours has happened, because mine coincided with the stars. I was told by my guides and my angels that the stars and the moon had not been in this positioning for like hundreds of thousands of years. They had that exact, between December 15th and December 21st, that whole astrological alignment mimicked the stars when him and I first came to this planet. It was ancient, and it had not been repeated for like ages, beyond even centuries, ages. So yours is going to happen when it's meant to, as the star calendars will tell, and your soul is in tune with that. So just trust that will happen exactly when it's supposed to. And you'll probably find this video around then when it's happening for you. So not everyone will have gone through this on the same dates as mine, but when your star calendar activates and when your star alignment activates, you will be going through these 9 ceremonies. Okay, so the halls of justice, the first one, the soul retrieval. So it's a point where we are sitting with a high priest, high priestess, an ascended master, our spirit guides, and our higher selves sit, and we do a mutual callback of power and forgiveness and requests in all directions and timelines, and then that activates the full infinities between us and unifies them. And then we sit in that ceremony for a while because we're cleansed and we're purified, and any soul fragments that were incomplete, that were detached from trauma, that were shrouded in darkness or being held by darkness, all of that is cleansed, purified in Creator's light, and brought back to us. And so it's a full, it's like a full integration back to wholeness. It's like the ultimate, if you've done soul retrievals on this realm and the 3D realm as part of your initiations to reclaim your power, this is next level of that. This is one of the most powerful soul retrievals guided by ascended masters that you could ever go through, because you have 2 higher selves, you and your twin, claiming this both together at the same time. Both your souls are ready for this moment. Now, souls can never be disconnected. So mine and his higher selves were always in commune, but there was a lot of destiny to play out. So our souls were in commune, and this is different. This is unification. And then they finally stepped up as to signal me. Now, thankfully, I had the sight and the gifts, and I know many of you will find this will be the same, to signal me now that it's time as well. And how this started was a couple years ago when him and I got back together, even though we had met when I was really young, like 7. He was a bit older than me. And I just knew that I loved him from that moment, and it was unworldly, it didn't make sense to me. But it was always him. It was always him, and we always came in and out of each other's lives, and then we spent a good chunk of our lives together as best friends and unified in the physical. But there was trauma bonding, and there was darkness in that as well because of the karma and the things that we chose to go through in this life. So there was always that back and forth. There was always that unification, but I was able to remember later that there were many, 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 many lives before this where we were not like that in the 3D. We were fighting, we were mad at each other, we were punishing each other, we were running from each other, there was karma, there was power stealing, there was all kinds of things going on that were at interplay with whatever the world was going through in the evolutionary period that needed to be gone through, that my soul and his soul had decided with our own souls to go through. Okay, and some of it was karma, some of it was us getting stuck here. Some of it was incorrect spiritual vows in times when humans were very in touch with their clairvoyancy and their magic, and they took advantage of that and entrapped people into spiritual vows to keep them on this planet. So there's a lot of that. So all of that in that second ceremony, in that soul retrieval ceremony, is healed and rebalanced. And then you get to see it, you get to witness it, you get to go through it. Now for me on the 3D, because I've had this time to be sick and be at home, I'm able to go through it and see all of it. And lots of it's still being revealed to me as time goes on, because I don't need to see all of it now. The story doesn't always matter. It's the integration at the cellular level, and then things are revealed to me as I need them. So I want you to keep this in mind. So all this processing will be very similar or the same for you when you reach your twin flame 5D unification. And so part 2 is just that ultimate healing, that soul retrieval callback. So all of your fragments are coming back. You're both in your full crystalline auric fields. Anything that was being withheld, any resentments, it's all gone. Both of you have decided to forgive each other beyond what is going on in the physical. Some of you might be in separation. Some of you really might have, especially the ancient pairs like mine, have a twin that's in high spiritual darkness. Tower moments right now as they're being called to wake up. A lot of those souls were awakened a couple of years back. There would have been reunion before separation again. And I would definitely say that's been the dominant in my path has been union and separation, and it's been going on and on. Now this life feels a little different than what I've remembered from the other lives, where we've been together in union more, and there's more of a camaraderie this time, and there's more of a healing of forgiving each other and choosing each other. Although there's still blocks and there's still healing associated with that, it's been better than it was in other lives. So that was to me a sign that union is very close for us. I still don't know if it'll be in this life. I'm not trying to be negative or lose hope. I just don't know, because he still has free will, and my guides even confer that to me. He still has free will, and he's still, able to choose his own choice. So he may not choose that this life. He may not be ready or strong enough yet, because right now the 3D is crumbling, and they've spent ages honing their skills on how to use it. A lot of twin flame pairs, one twin flame will really have been in the darkness more than the other. And they could have honed that over ages and decades, and just complete unforgiveness and, anger at the injustices of humans and the unfairness within humanity and the atrocious way humans have treated each other over the ages has really stuck with our twins, and they have done what they've needed to survive, to stay in power, to use the game and beat it by its own means and rules. But now all of that's coming down. They have to choose the light. They have to. Whether they choose it in this life, no, but going forward in all the next lives, and as we move through this evolution into the next golden age, they have to choose the light. Everyone does. And the twin flames are leading this spiritual warfare in a way, because as we overcome these things, as we come into enough spiritual development to come into 5D spiritual union, we are unraveling long-held disruption and corruption patterns in humanity's frequencies, and we are making wins for many, many, many people whose destinies have been taken from them, held back from them, or they've been literally brainwashed out of choosing it, brainwashed and anesthetized with the chemicals and the foods and all the things around them. So this is a huge, huge pivotal thing. And if you are going through a 5D ascension marriage, it's a very big deal, and it's a very big blessing. So your sight will increase, your clairvoyancy, your clairaudience, all of the accuracy in that. You might feel weird though as it lands. I know this has definitely been going on for me, where I just feel like I'm in the old, I'm in the new, and there's so much going on, and they're all me, and I don't really know which one to pick sometimes. And so I just keep trying to feel like this is my future. What would my future self do? I'm going to choose from there, and just keep trying to leave the past behind, but bless that part of me with love and understanding. But it is a wild, interesting journey, and I can feel everything intensifying as well. And I can feel my sensitivity going up, and I know it will all settle. Like everything kind of feels like uncomfortable, or like it's not calling me, and I just don't really know what to do for joy or pleasure or anything right now. So I know that everything's still integrating and that the quest isn't quite over, but yet also it just kind of feels weird, and it can kind of stimulate these things of like, will I be like this forever? I'm just going to be bored with life now. And it's a very interesting thing. So just see what you're going through in all of this and see if you relate to that. So the third ceremony or layer will be spiritual vows. So it's where you make new spiritual vows that are undoing all the ones that have been holding us back in the 3D. So now with all the insight and the wisdom of being here for ages, and really coming back into the full remembrance of who we were before and who we are, and opening our Akashics, we can make new spiritual vows that overwrite the old ones, and we can call back any that are not working. So that's what ends up happening. That this is all soul driven as well. Like I will say that I've just witnessed these ceremonies. I didn't necessarily hear every single thing that was said. Like I said, I wouldn't have time to sit there for days and witness all of that, but I trust that it's inside of me. My soul has it, and it's revealed to me as I need it. And so then we're blessed by Creator. We're blessed by the light columns, the rays, the star councils. And then we have and this is all done in private, like I said, with an ascended master. Those two ceremonies, and they're kind of interchanged. Like they're two separate ceremonies, but they're done at the same time. Like one's done right after the other, with just with us and the ascended master, like priestess, who is leading it. And then the fourth one is the vows and unification family ceremony, and this is where we're outside in nature. Creator's cathedrals, we're blessed by creators. All our guides are there, all our ancestors are there, all of our families are there, all of our ancestors, our friends, our higher selves, like everyone is there. And it's a huge ceremony, it's a huge party, it's a huge celebration. Somewhat like a wedding would be here, but most people don't have the money to have weddings that are this lavish and this beautiful anymore. Like just the 5D vow ceremony and unification ceremony is just next level, that our ancestors just are celebrating us, and there's just so much opulence and beauty and love, and there's none of the 3D concerns, of the physical, the money, the worries, all of that. It's just the most perfect, beautiful, sacred ceremony. So then there is 5, the first Shakti and Shiva unification and merging. It's a divine feminine and masculine attunement. It is literally done in the Akashics. It is what we would call like the honeymoon, the consecration of the marriage. It is it's sacred sexuality, of course, and you actually see the gold and silver snakes align and move up the spines. It's nothing like sex on this planet, of course, but it's super beautiful, super wonderful. Then the 6th ceremony is Star Council's ceremony and witnessing. So you actually go up to the Star Council temples, the I guess, bigger versions of halls of justice, because there's the earthly halls of justice, and that's where we were in the first ceremony layer. But then there's this Star Council ceremonies, and you go up there witnessing. You get to visit home and our origin families. There's a full reattunement to our star lineage frequencies, our light languages, sites, syncs, our spiritual tech, stargates, activations, even just communication lines, astro travel. There's shadow reattunements from our star families, and just more connections and communications. And then in the physical, what that means is just going to be more higher dreams. Like even today I had a dream about star councils and being lord of many planets, and being able to fly between them and everything like that. So he will definitely be getting some more dreams and things like that as well. Because a few months before this, there had been dreams where both of us were going back to our very first origin planets that we were kind of mirroring each other, which I thought was very interesting. And so it always starts quite a bit ahead, but then it unifies into this beautiful, full ceremony. So then there's the celebration and feasting. So again, like the vow unification, it's kind of like it's like where you'd be married in your gown and everything like that. And then the unification is just for you two in between, and then you would change again, and you would go up to the star councils, and then you come back again to ancestors and guides and angels and whoever wants to come from the star councils for celebration and feasting. And then you get a day's rest or something like that. And then you are doing the Earth Star and the Soul Star integration. So those are the 8th and 9th activations in this layer of ceremony and union. And basically it's the infinity activation that is vertical, the creator totem. It attunes the 5D to the 3D. Spirit manifests into physical. It gives the divine feminine sustenance, satiation, peace and contentment to be as they are, and to understand and have full gratitude for every single moment in the 3D physical life and every single thing they've ever experienced throughout the Akashics, and to be satiated just from the very fact that you're on the same realm as the twin, and not have to be so forlorn for physical union, not have to be scared that you won't talk or you won't lose them. And it just kind of, it heals all of that if it's going on for you in the 3D. And then the divine masculine side of each of us gets to be brought into craving to bring the union to the physical, undeniable love. They come back into their masculinity of protecting or providing, of stabilizing. They crave light. They crave balance and healing. They know when to rest. They know when to surrender to their feminine. They know how to bring all the dreams and the energetics of the feminine into the physical, and they are respecting that, and they are unified with that, but they also aren't pushing it. There's no woundedness here. There's all the patriarchal programming is released in both of these dynamics, and they are come into full balance as defined by Creator. So it's really, really beautiful. It's harder to put in words, I think. I made notes as I was going through, but the feeling and the witnessing of this is just the most beautiful thing you've ever experienced. And you literally, as you witness yourself go through this, you can feel those activations come on alive inside of you, and you have so much peace. Like I said, I had the flu first, a lot of this, and I just was in so much gratitude and so much peace and just so much understanding that I'm taken care of and that everything is always working out for me. And like, it was like things I was saying to myself for months as I tried to bring what I was feeling in the 5D into the physical, but it wasn't necessarily like, now it's a part of me. Now it's like, I don't even need to say it. It's just how I live. It's like alive in my cells. So I thought that was really interesting. All of this is creator led. All of it is in divine timing. Like I said, it'll be as per a star calendar that your soul has and knows and wills, and your twin soul has and knows. and it will show up as it's needed. Now, I know some of the signs of it coming through was like, a couple of years ago when we first got back together. My twin had shared with me that they felt my soul was with them and like wasn't leaving my side. They could feel my soul there with them, supporting them and guiding them. And then that happened for me a year or two later. I was like, oh, I'm sure they're always there guiding you, but the actual like physical awareness of it is what I'm kind of speaking to here. And I had the physical awareness of about 2 years in, where I was like, oh, his higher self is like here with me, like in such a visceral way that I cannot, like, they're there with my guides all the time now. And obviously it's stronger now with the Alchemical Union, but that was some of the signs among many, many other things, which I'll go into another video about. The other thing I just want to add before we close the reading down today, the channel, I guess it's a channel, but it's a reflection on my astral travels, my vision quest, is for some of us, we're going to also have a villain in our story, and a soul who's seen our power in many lives and has been trying to siphon it from us. Some of them may have succeeded in putting siphon hooks and curses and things on our bloodline, following us from life to life and siphoning off that energy that they knew and seen us in, and trying to keep us from our twin flames. There are agents on all sides, dark and light. And so these agents of darkness are going to be trying to keep our twins from us. And in my particular case, and you can see if this resonates for you, this soul has manifested as a woman, and they are trying to keep their curse and hold in place, but that power has been broken. Now, they can become desperate and scrambling, so they may try to attack him, but this 5D Alchemical Union has now ushered in all spiritual protections that I can consciously cultivate, because I've gone through enough integrations and adaptations and initiations to consciously be aware of all of this and access all the realms in my physical and access my powers in my physical. And again, if you found this reading, I'm sure you're in the same place. So this is worth saying. I felt divinely guided to come on and say this. You might have a soul like that in your life. You might have a conflict with darkness that was going on that was keeping you single. But again, in my experience of working with darkness and shadows and energy, not all of it's evil. Okay, evil has its own energy signature. Remember that. Things can be corrupted and they can be cleaned, and that's part of what I believe our light work and our purpose is here. And if you can identify the difference, that's extremely helpful on your path. But this darkness that I'm talking about right now, it inherently was more corrupted, and some evil did get in there, but it's not uncleansable. And that soul will have to deal with her own karma, and that's what's coming to a head, is they've been pushing off their karma to other people, and it won't be allowed to do that anymore. They have been cut off, and that's why they're scrambling and they're desperate and they're trying to attack this way. And my soul chose the Alchemical Union for this time to protect us both as well. So I thought that was another interesting byproduct of that. And so there will be no more siphoning on either side, because you're a unified soul. There's no holes to get into, right? Now, please understand, and again, I don't say this with judgment. I just say this for your own reflection. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't consider microdosing mushrooms and cannabis things that actually come from the earth. I don't consider those drugs, but I never use them in excess, 1 or 2 times a year. So if I was to do that, but I don't consider those drugs. I don't do recreational drugs. I don't do processed, chemical, interfering, human-made drugs. Okay, so that's what I'm referring to, and I want you to think about that, because the more you keep yourselves clean, the more spiritual energy you can bring through, and the less places the darkness can come in. You're only creating more space for light, and this includes Tylenol and Advil and a lot of the over-the-counter medicines that we rely on, because your body having those symptoms is trying to tell you something, and in essence you're telling it to shut up if you take a lot of those things. So this is why I took herbs when I was sick, and this is why I prefer that, because then also when I get better, my immune system will be stronger from this illness and from the herbs, because I didn't take anything extra that was breaking down the cells. So just some food for thought there. and really identify if you have one of those villains in your life, if you have a karmic pattern of darkness that you're still working through, because it will be all linked and intertwined to this. And some of us on this path will have had that block from getting into our divine masculine relationship. And that's okay, because you were meant to stay single, because you were meant to be with your divine masculine. And I know sometimes that's really hard to hear. Like, even when my angels told me that, I was like, so frustrating, because I don't want to be alone. I don't want to do everything on my own. But also, I also had a very strong inkling this whole time that I'm supposed to do some things on my own. I'm supposed to learn that I can care for myself and that it's safe, and that just to accomplish things on my own so I can show myself that I did it. But there's also a time where that's closing and that's coming to an end, where I also now need community, and I'm not supposed to do everything alone, and nothing in excess, right? So I don't need to be so hyper independent. So see if any of this resonates for you. I trust always that this finds you when it needs to and is perfectly aligned. We are mirrors. We are the same soul tribe, and this is why you were drawn to this channel. So hope this helps. I hope you have a blessed new year. My New Year's in July, but I hope you have a blessed January, a blessed 2025, and I will talk to you soon.